Let's do chapter 6 again. What's interesting to me about this is they start the culture chapter, right? As we're talking about now is the org culture, is the two factors, right? 41% of employees strongly agree that they know what their organization stands for and what makes it different from competitors. And it's also interesting. So there's two pieces that, only 41% are really strong, but it's the two parts, right? What their organization stands for is one thing. The other conversation, though, which is what makes them different from competitors. That's a separate thing. And what's so interesting is that I don't think companies think about it in some ways. In fact, in that chapter, I love how it talks about brand, how you're basically your brand to your customers is what your culture is, because your culture, meaning the people that work there, deliver on that brand. And so in a world where it's two things, one, human beings are so crazy, right? We desperately want to belong. And yet we also like to think about the fact that we're unique and special. And I think it's that tension is that people need to know, one, I think they're just confused. Hey, what exactly is it that encompasses our culture? Because a lot of times our leadership doesn't embody this. In fact, Jeremy and I just did core competencies for IMC and asking that question of, hey, where do you live out these things? Because one thing to say, this is what your organization stands for. It's another thing to see it reflected in actions. So one, I think there's a disconnect between actions and what a company will say. So leaders, when you're coaching, and especially if it's a small team, if you're creating a team, this is a great opportunity. Do our actions. If we had to reverse engineer it, if a company's trying to figure out what their culture is, in some ways, it's better than instead of going to the headline, ask them, well, listen, if I knew nothing about you and I had to just go off of the interactions you had or the actions you took, what would I say is a culture? That's one way. The other is if they've stated a culture, because it's a bigger, more established group, you can talk about the gap between the two. So that's one way when it comes to culture. The other thing, though, is how are we different? And that's important because I think what I love about this is it calls it the fact that in order to exist in the marketplace, you need to be different. There might be some spaces where you just simply need to show up, but I think most of the time to survive in business, to kind of win a job when someone else is competing for that job, to be able to articulate, and this is what makes us different from our competitors. And this is a pure strengths question, right? Hey, you can all be great, but me teaching using my developer adaptability ideation is completely differently than me being a great teacher using my discipline, achiever, responsibility, harmony. And so this is the part of you're almost saying what makes us different than our competitors what are our unique strengths? And so just like we feel like individuals have a low awareness of their strengths, I think most companies or teams don't know what their unique strengths are. If you're coaching a person who's leading a team within a company, hey, what are the strengths of your team that make you uniquely competent in the company, that make you guys incredibly well under pressure or exceptional at getting analysis from data or strategy from data? So what's interesting is in the culture is two things. One, a good way to think about culture, if it's creating it or you're trying to quantify it, start from behaviors and work backwards and say, well, clearly our culture is one of this because this is how we all behave. But then go, is that what we want? Or simply start with the stated and close the gap. And the second thing, differentiation. That's the strengths of the companies, the strengths question. What are the strengths that this is why you should hire a person with this because their strengths are this versus their strengths being that, so to speak. Love your thoughts. Hopefully you guys can hear this one. Drop yourself a video.